Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of the Million Pound Mission Podcast. It's your buddy Adam, the PhD, the previously heavy dude, and this is episode number 341, How to Do a Lifestyle Audit. We are going to dig in on this one in a moment, but first, I just want to check in with you guys a little bit, see how you're doing. It is week number 1 in our community with our 28-day cycle that we are doing. If you're brand new to the show, we put the whole community on a 28-day cycle where each week we have a little bit of a different focus point. Week 1 is all about accountability. We're doing our accountability sprint week inside of our Facebook community. I'll be assigning accountability buddies in there. We have group chats going usually on Tuesdays, and those have been really good lately, by the way. If you have not been able to participate, I highly recommend that. It's been a super positive environment, and it's been needed lately. So you can get plugged into that community for free. Just go to millionpoundmission.com and sign up for the Mission Possible community. That will get you set up with your battle plan workbook, all the things you need to do to get plugged into all this amazing free positive momentum. The community is really doing really well. We're on fire, and things are going very, very well, especially with everything considered in the world. Everybody dealing with coronavirus, quarantine situations, all that. Still getting really good momentum out of the community. So shout out to the Mission Possible community out there. All right, Lifestyle Audit. This is something that I come back to periodically. It's a topic I like to touch base, at least once per year as we enter the fourth year of the podcast, because there are so many people out there that are just letting their life run them. They never feel like they have enough time for anything, especially investing in themselves. They justify all of their extra work and extra busyness because they are working towards something. But usually it's like, I'm doing this for my family. I'm doing this for the long run. But you're giving up so many years and so many high stress years, not enjoying life and not really developing those relationships that you are supposedly working towards or working for. You have to ask yourself, is it worth it? So I use this process to serve as kind of a wake-up call for people that I'm working with. And I use this a lot inside of my community, inside of people that are paying me to coach them or doing strategy sessions. I use this a lot. And so I just like to make sure that I remind you guys of this process in the podcast community as well, every so often. So I do have a companion worksheet that I highly recommend downloading. The link for that will be in the show notes. I'm not going to put it up on the website. I don't like to clutter up the website any more than it already is. But if you just look at the show notes for this episode, there will be a download. It's free. Just type in a legit email address so I can send it to you. And that way you'll have it. You can follow along. And this is really going to help. If you're somebody that really is frustrated about how much time you're spending doing things that you really don't want to be doing, if you just feel busy and stressed all the time, feel like you're sprinting all day, every day, and not really getting to enjoy your life, this will be a game changer. All right. So with the big picture here, we want to look at this and say, okay, we all have 168 hours in a week. 1 week is 168 hours. We all have that, but we use it differently. I've told stories in the past about, when I first started my gym, I worked myself into the hospital 3 different times just because I was working so much, so stressed out, being, living that entrepreneurial dream life, I guess. Lots of hours, not a lot of rest, a lot of stress. And my health suffered from that. I passed out from lack of sleep, from anxiety attacks and things like that. 3 different trips to the emergency room later, I got it figured out. And I started making my time a priority, time for me, time for my family, time for sleep, time to rejuvenate, time to be creative, and yes, time to be an entrepreneur and be a business owner, business leader, and be a creative mind at the same time. And these 168 hours, we have to realize they'll be eaten up regardless. Our schedule and our life will just eat that up if we don't put some barriers around certain really key areas of our life. And that's kind of what this process is all about. Let's audit what the current is, let's envision where we want to go, and then let's take a baby step to make improvement in the right direction. So if you have your workbook downloaded, the Lifestyle Audit worksheet, again, in the show notes, the link is right there. You can follow right along. I'm just going to kind of walk you through it here in audio version. That way you can, what you might want to do is listen to it through once, download the worksheet, and then go and listen to it again and fill it out as I kind of talk you through it. All right, so let's do that. So the first step is we're going to organize the categories that best represent how our time is used. And we've got some fillers in there, things like sleep, work, family time, personal development time, eating and food prep time, exercise time. And then I use a term called buffer time. That's like all the in-between stuff. So maybe that's you driving to work or driving your kids to drop them off at school, or just, in between stuff. That's buffer time. So really we want to account for that full 168 hours in a week and fill it up with these time blocks. Now I'm going to warn you, as we go through this, if you have children, we all have friends, but with kids especially, and your spouse, like, you're going to realize how little time on average you actually spend with them on an average day. And hopefully that motivates you. It might make you a little upset, might make you a little bit mad, might make you feel like you're not doing your job as a parent or a spouse or a friend. But use that as motivation. Don't use it to beat yourself up right now and be like, all right, for things to change, I have to change. And I'm really plugging into this process as part of that positive change. All right. So that being said, we have to kind of define the way that we're going to categorize and block off our time, put some rules around it. And then what I want you to do is use the worksheet to write out what your average week looks like now, like how many hours you're spending in each of those categories. So I've got an example in there. And again, we're looking at the week overall. And what I would do as you figure this out, we can take a couple methods of doing this. One would be just kind of guesstimate the averages. Think like, I usually sleep X amount. And then I know I work out on average X amount. I work X amount. And then just kind of fill in the gaps with some estimations. And then get your weekly totals. Others may want to go through an actual week and log these things. Just kind of time block your time, make some notes, be like, all right, what was I doing for the last half an hour? Oh, I was watching TV. What was I doing for the last 5 hours? Oh, I was working, or I was at my kid's practice or something like that. So you can take either approach that you want. You can do this as many times as you want. The key is we really want to instigate some change here. So the first step is we tabulate the average week now. And in the example in the worksheet, I have somebody written down as 40 hours a week of sleep, 50 of work, 12 of family time, 1 hour of personal time, 1 hour of personal development time, 18 hours of eating and food prep time, 5 exercise hours, and 41 buffer hours. So you kind of get all those other categories, and then you fill in the rest with the buffer time. That's just you in between stuff. That can be a little bit depressing in itself. Like in this example, you're thinking 41 hours a week of buffer time. I got to be able to get more efficient with something like, how am I having this much time in the buffer zone? And you'll compare that to, I spent 1 hour of personal development time, 1 hour in an entire week. Out of 168 hours, I spent one developing myself, journaling, meditating, reading, learning. And that just seems it's skewed. If we're doing 40 times more Netflix than personal development time, something is wrong with that. And then, you look at things like the average person's out there working 40 or 50 hours a week or more. I was certainly doing a lot more than that when I first started off as an entrepreneur. And, just figuring out like, how can we trade some of those hours out into things that I actually enjoy, that I really want to be doing, like, hang out with my family, learn new things, maybe even sleep a little bit more, things like that. So this is where we start. We calculate out of the 168 hours that you have in a week right now, what does that average week break down to look like? So once we do that, we're going to skip ahead to the ideal week. And this is where, when I coach people through this is where they have the most struggle, because they are like hard on themselves. Like, I can never sleep 8 hours a night. That's like impossible. This is ideal. So this is ideal scenario. if you are crushing it, 100% happy, what does that look like right now? And like if you're working and like I would still factor in like you're going to keep working to earn money. If you have to work to earn money, then like factor those hours in and be like, I'm retiring and I've won the lottery. That we're not doing a lottery win scenario. Like let's assume that you're doing this right now. You still have to earn a living. So we have to figure out those hours and all that stuff. But what's ideal right now? And a lot of it's going to come from that buffer time. Like how do I get more efficient with all this buffer nonsense that is just wasted time that I can invest in the areas that I really want to kind of beef up with this time breakdown. So you go and you break down your ideal sleep, your ideal work hours, family time, personal development time, eating and food prep time, exercise time, and again, you have the buffer time. So in this example, and again, this isn't like from my life or anything, this is just kind of a typical scenario that I'll see a lot of people. We went from sleep hours per week from 40 to 45. We went from work from 50 to 40, so we reduced 10 hours there. Family time went from 12 hours to 20 hours. I mean, how awesome would that be to almost double your family time, as long as you like your family, I guess. The personal time went from 1 hour to 10 hours. The personal development time, we just doubled that, went from 1 to 2, not a huge jump there. The eating and food prep time stayed the same because that's about, unless you aren't doing any of it, that's an area you can level up on. But this example, they kind of leveled it out there. The exercise time, we increased by 2 hours from 5 to 7. And the buffer time, we were able to decrease from 41 to 26. So really what we did was we took a lot of the buffer time out and we took 10 hours of the work time out and put it into areas that we wanted to level up in. And those are the two areas that we can get more efficient. There are so many people that are out there just working extra hours for no pay, for no reason. Like if you're an entrepreneur and you are the boss and entrepreneurs can work an endless amount of hours. But if you're an employee, I know a lot of employees, that's what I'm trying to get at here, that they're working through their lunch break with no pay for that time. They're working extra hours with no pay and no expectation of doing that. They just feel like they have to get ahead for some reason, or they're under a deadline. They just need to work these extra hours because their boss will fire them if they don't. And most of the time that's not even close to being the case. One of my friends I've been on for a while, like years, about the amount of hours she's working. Like it just blew my mind. I'm like, you're not getting paid for this, but it just employee guilt almost was put upon her, and she was doing all these extra things, extra hours for no extra pay. When I took her through this process, we broke it down. I'm like, if you just take all that extra stuff that you are not getting compensated for and invest that in family, fitness, food, and sleep, your life will change forever. And it was an eye-opener. That's kind of the whole point of this. So whatever your breakdown looks like, really be honest with yourself in this stage of the worksheet and be ideal. Like if you feel like your sleep is terrible and you're getting 5 hours a night, like how awesome would it be to get 8? And just put it down. Don't doubt yourself that it's even possible. Just write it out there. As long as the math works up to 168 hours, we're good. And we can start working on trying to figure this out. All right. So that's my main advice with this entire thing. Don't hold back when you get to this stage and you map out your ideal time breakdown. Now, the third stage of this is we have where we are now and we have where we want to be. And, it's a process to get there. So what we're looking for is a 10% improvement in just 3 of the categories. So you find the 3 categories that you are like, all right, I really, I've got to get my sleep down. I've got to level up my exercise, and I've got to level up my family time, or what. It doesn't matter. You pick what will be most impactful for you, like what will really motivate you. And we say, all right, starting ASAP, as in the next week or even immediately, we improve in those 3 areas by 10%. So whatever the hours are now, we are going to increase that by 10% in those 3 areas. And we're going to commit to that. That's something that come hell or high water, these things will happen. And the real key around this is you get into your schedule and you schedule it. So for example, if you're leveling up your sleep, usually we have a set wake up time because we have to We have a routine. We have to get to work. We've got, things like that. But we can adjust our go to bed time. All right. So maybe you're used to going to bed at midnight and you're trying to add 10% to your sleep. You go, okay, I'm going to be in bed. I'm going to put up my calendar. I'm going to be in bed by 10:30 or 10 or whatever it is to make the math work. And it's just these little incremental changes will make a huge difference. So maybe you're going to bed, 15 minutes earlier in each day, but that's almost 2 hours of extra sleep per week. And that's awesome, right? That's how this math works. So it's a 10% shift is not a huge deal. If you go from, whatever hours your family time is and increase that by 10%, it's a small jump. But what I want to do is have you prove to yourself that you can do this and you're going to notice the difference. Like, it's possible and I likes it. I likes it, Adam. That's the feedback I want from you guys on this one. But okay, it's doable and it is impactful. And I feel the difference already. So you're getting that extra sleep. You're feeling that extra connection time with your family. You're not giving that to scrolling through Facebook posts. You're giving that to your family. Or you're not giving that to Netflix or whatever. You're giving that to you reading a book and learning and really investing in yourself, or doing an online class or anything, like something that really fuels you. And I guess that's another point I should make with all this. There'll be a lot of guilt around the family situation, but really don't neglect that personal time and personal development category. Those are usually the tiniest of all the categories. And I can't tell, I invest an hour every single morning from 5:30 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. I call it my power hour. I've done a podcast episode about this. That's just me investing in me and learning and growing and treating my body right, and meditation. Like, that's huge. And I do that for an hour every single day. Now, do you have to start there? No, probably won't be able to pull that off. But can you do 5 minutes? Can you do 15 minutes? Yeah, for sure. That's very doable. So make sure, again, you do not neglect the personal development time and the personal time doing what you want to do just to refill your tank. Because when you do that, you'll show up for other people in a much bigger and better way. All right. So quick recap here. Lifestyle audit. If this seems scary, you probably need it. Let's just put that out there. If you're like, oh my God, this seems like a lot of intense work. Yeah, it is. But you can do something like this. Like my friend, okay, so I'm not even going to say their name, but it's somebody that I've known for a while, been on them for a while. They had achieved great results with me. They started to backslide. I started to see their life just really get eaten up by work. And for a couple of years, I'm like, fill out the audit, and we would do it. They would be like, yes, this is what I needed, and these are the changes I need to make. They wouldn't make the change. And years and years and years. Then, funny thing happens, a pandemic, coronavirus happens, and all of a sudden they realize the difference of, I'm getting more sleep. I'm forced to get more sleep. I can't go to work. I have to spend more time with my family. And they're realizing how impactful and wonderful this is. Now they've roped off those areas. Their health is dramatically improved. And they're saying, okay, all these things are important. They're roped off. My work fits around that. It doesn't work the other way around. It's not, I have life, but work is the thing that's roped off, and life fills in the gaps. No, work fills in the gaps of all the important things of your life. You've got to get that straight, or you're not going to have your health, you're not going to have great relationships, and you're not going to have an enjoyable life. And that is a shame, because you deserve that. All right. So you're going to map out what things are at now. You're going to map out where you want to be, ideal and fearlessly ideal, like put it out there. And then we're going to do a 10% improvement in 3 categories. And then once we get that footing, developed, then we add into the other categories, and we start chipping away towards that ideal until we achieve it or come very close to it, or decide that we need to shift things around because you reshape your ideal, and that's okay too. The key is, again, progress, proving to yourself this is doable, and then experiencing it and saying, I like this, and you experience that personal momentum. And that's the deal, guys. That is the lifestyle audit. So again, meaty topic, high impact. if you're still in quarantine mode, like this is a great time to do this. And it's interesting. I feel like a lot of people are realizing how much time work eats up now that a lot of us aren't working. The jobs have been put on hold, and you're like, wow, I really enjoy like playing games with my kids. I really enjoy reading bedtime stories. I really enjoy having a meal with my spouse. I really enjoy reading. I like to learn things. I like to work on the garden or whatever it is. Like we're discovering these things. And right now it's a unique time in our life where we can kind of rope some of those things off and go, okay, how do I make this fit? I mean, that's exactly what happened with my Power Hour protocol. I developed that. I'd always kind of had a morning routine, but nothing that was just like very strict, time slotted, roped off, never messed with until I went on our family vacation. My wife's family has a lake house, Lake of the Ozarks. Shout out to Lake of the Ozarks, amazing place. And I would just wake up at 5:30. I would go out on the dock and I would spend an hour doing my meditation, my mobility, my learning, and my thinking. And I just got to thinking like, wow, this is making such a great impact on me in 1 week. How do I keep doing this? And I just figured it out. I had those same doubts that a lot of you have, like, oh, I don't have time for this. That was my initial thought, admittedly. But I was like, let's just try it for a week in real life scenario when I'm back to work, back at home. And I just roped it off and my life filled in around that. And I'm telling you, it'll blow you guys away when you do this, when you start to just do these small incremental changes, claim your space for you in your calendar, in your daily schedule, and the magic will happen. So that is the Lifestyle Audit. Again, there is a free download in the show notes. If you don't know how to access that, or if you're having any trouble with it, just hit me up on Instagram at Million Pound Mission. There's also a contact button on millionpoundmission.com, the website. Either way, you can directly have access to me and let me know what you think. I would love to know if this was impactful. Let me know how you like this with like a downloadable worksheet along with one of these one-on-one you and Adam sessions. If you like that, I'll keep doing it. It takes a little extra time. This is an older worksheet I've used in the past, so I just had to kind of dig that up. But otherwise, I kind of like doing this. And if it adds value, just let me know, and we'll keep doing it, my friends. All right, things are going well with the show. I always appreciate you guys subscribing and tuning in. If you're newer to the show, a recommendation I've been making is, obviously this is episode 341. There's a lot out there. It could be overwhelming. What I'd recommend doing is go to episode 300 and work your way forward until you kind of catch up on the more recent episodes. Then if you want to, you can bounce back to episode 1 and work your way forward from there and kind of binge listen. I always appreciate the bingers. It's amazing. The downloads are all, it helps with our rankings and Apple and all that good stuff. That gets more people in front of the information, which is the whole point. But that's a strategy that's working for a lot of people. Start at episode 300, work forward, and then go back to the, you're not going to miss anything out. As you know, as you're probably figuring out, I repeat the key topics every so often so that we're always getting through those and not just like, it's not a one and done thing. I'm going to keep improving on the techniques. I think I've done a couple of episodes about the Lifestyle Audit. So this is the latest and greatest edition of that. So that way, I know the fear of missing out is real with 341 episodes. You're like, oh my God, I must get all this in. But I got your back, as always, my friend. So that is it for this week. I hope that you guys are staying healthy. I hope that you're staying good mentally. And if you ever need help with anything, do not hesitate to reach out. And we will get out there and own it together every meal, every workout, every day. I'll see you on the next episode. Hey, before I let you go, I want to remind you that I've recently opened up more spots on my calendar for some one-on-one strategy sessions. These are paid coaching sessions. It's a 45-minute session. We get together one-on-one video chat style. We're going to map out a 28-day game plan for your nutrition, your fitness, your goals, your danger zones, your cheat bank. We're going to map out your entire battle plan workbook together and make sure that you are set up to succeed for the next 28 days. If you feel like your momentum has been going in the wrong direction, tag in me, the PhD, and let's get together for a one-on-one strategy session. Head on over to millionpoundmission.com and get signed up today.